Thanks, everyone. Could I ask elected members, city officers and members of the public if you could take your seats. Please remember to switch your electronic devices to silence. Welcome, everybody. Welcome in the gallery, and of course, welcome to our viewers who are watching the meeting via the live stream at home. Could I ask everyone, please, if you could be upstanding to read the opening prayer. Deputy Mayor, could you please read the opening prayer?
Almighty God, we ask you to guide us in all our discussions, to show goodness, honesty, understanding and wisdom in all that we undertake to do. May we respect each other's views at all times, and we ask all of this in your name. Amen.
Councillor Olo, could you read the acknowledgement of country?
Thank you. On behalf of elected members, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, on which this meeting is taking place, and show our respect for elders past, present and emerging.
Thank you. You can take your seats. Without prior approval, any recording of the meeting is prohibited. No action should be taken on any resolution of council prior to written advice from the council being received. Brings us to item 1, the official opening. Ladies and gentlemen, I declare the council meeting of the 31st of March 2026 open at 6:30 p.m. Item 2, apologies. Mr. Solence, do we have any apologies?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Item 3, approved leave of absence. Councillor Damien Giudice is on leave of absence from the 26th of March to the 6th of April inclusive. 4, disclosure of interest. From the Community and Resource Committee on the 24th of March 2026, there were 8 disclosures, which are on the board behind me. For Council tonight, I've received 2 disclosures of interest from Councillor Daniela Iron for tonight's meeting. Disclosed an impartial interest in item 12.1 PAC S1 as she has met with some club members and talked about the issues. And from the same councillor, disclosing an impartial interest in item 13.1 as she is a member of the Mount Lawley Inglewood RSL sub-branch. Mr. Solence, are there any other disclosures for this evening?
Haven't received any, Mr. Mayor.
Councillors, are there any other disclosures? Councillor Dudek.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I might just ask that mine perhaps be updated. I saw this earlier today. I believe in the form I submitted last week, I mentioned member of Balga Soccer Club and other clubs. There's a few others that I'm member of, so I think just the wording can be updated of my one to say Balga Soccer Club because it's not Balga Football Club.
If you just write them down and pass them to governance.
It was submitted last week in the wording that I think is better. I can fill it out again if needed, otherwise. Yeah. Thank you.
No problem. Any other indications, councillors? If not, we'll move to item 5, petitions. Councillor, are there Item 6, responses to previous questions from members of the public taken on notice. We had one question from Mr. Mitchell, which was taken on notice at the previous council meeting, and the response to that is included in the agenda for this meeting. And we'll now move on to item 7, public question time. So we'll go on and start with questions that have been submitted in writing before the meeting, and also ones that relate to the council agenda to start with. And I'm going to ask, we've got a couple of special guests in the audience today. So we do have some students from Our Lady of Grace who are joining us. Welcome along. Thank you for coming tonight. And I'll ask you, Adeline, if you'd like to start us off. Now, when you come up, Mr. Murphy's right there to help you out. Good to see you. So I'll ask you to start, if you just say your name, your full name, and then just let us know which suburb you live in, not your address, just your suburb, and then your question, please, Adeline.
So my name's Adeline Musker and I am from Crean.
Thank you.
We are from Our Lady of Grace Primary School, and 90 of us had a beach class recently where we learnt from city officers that storms can wash sand away. So why is sand nourishment important?
Thank you for that question. I'll get Mr. Stracina to give you a response.
Thank you. Through the chair, thank you for the question. Sand nourishment is important because it helps stop the beach from washing away over winter, especially during big storms. The beach is a space that's greatly valued by the community for exercise and recreational activities like swimming, surfing and snorkeling. The beach also protects the roads paths and nearby facilities such as toilets and the gazebo, which people need to access the beach and what it has to offer. We nourish the beach with sand because it has slowly been eroding from year to year, and we want to make sure that it continues to protect the infrastructure and the much loved space it provides.
Thank you. Have you got another question for us? No? Thank you very much. You don't have to touch anything. You can just hop down, and we'll now see, George, are you with us tonight? George Ward? If you'd like to come up now and do the same thing, so start with your name and your suburb.
My name is George Ward and I'm from North Beach.
And your question, George.
In our beach class, we also heard the council is thinking of how to protect the coast for our futures. What longer term options are you looking into?
Oh, very good question, young Mr. Ward. Mr. Struzina, I'll ask you just to move the microphone closer and speak louder if you can for this one, because it's a bit hard to hear.
Sure. Through the chair, we know that it's important to our community to keep the beaches and coastal areas safe and usable for the future. So we're looking at several different ways to protect them. We are looking into sourcing sand from offshore sand deposits to rebuild the beach and dunes. We're looking into building a reef in the water to reduce erosion or encourage deposition of sand. We're looking into building a seawall on the beach to limit erosion and protect our coastal infrastructure. We are looking into building up areas where the higher land sticks out to sea or headlands and to change where the sand moves. And we're also looking into a combination of these things.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. And that item will be on the agenda this evening, so council will be discussing that. I'm not sure if you're planning to hang around. You're welcome to if you do. Anika McCurdy. Kim McDonald. Thank you. And just your name and suburb and then your question, please.
Yeah, it's Kim McDonald. I'm from Gwelup. Sorry, just finding my question. It's my second time here in 2 months. So at the council meeting on the 10th of the 2nd that I attended, I complained about persistent dog barking in my street and a lack of action by the council. My 7-year-old has slept in a living room on a mattress for 5 years due to lack of action by the council. We are still at the same point 7 weeks later after my visit. Well, in fact, 8 years on, actually. On the 13th of the 2nd, Brent and his colleague Daniel attended my house after the said meeting for an hour, where he told me the plan to put a noise recorder on my side of the fence and to not inform my neighbour. Since then, 3 people on our street have recorded over the average barking, example, 254 barks in a day, and sent barking diaries into the council. I received an email Friday last week saying that they've not adhered to the plan that was made, that we spent an hour making, and sent a letter to my neighbour to stop the barking and opening an investigation and asking neighbours about noise, which we've already done and have already sent in the 3 diaries recently. I would like to know why the plan was not followed, that I was emailed, and I have the emails here if anyone wants to see them. I've also emailed them to the council, forwarded them from Brent and Jack to find out why it was not adhered to the plan that was made and promised to, which is very different to what I was told on an email on Friday. I was also called by Mark yesterday late afternoon, who said he would investigate.
Can I just get you just to say city officers rather than naming city officers, please?
Okay, well, it's just so you know who's involved, so you can contact them. I was also told by, I don't know who Mark is, sorry, I have to say Mark, because I don't know if he's a ranger or a council person who he is.
Sorry, I'll just ask you again though, can you please just call them city officers?
City officer, okay. Said he'd investigate what happened with what the process of what we were supposed to follow, and he would get back to me today, which also did not happen.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Mullins?
Through the chair, and thank you for the questions, Ms McDonald. There's a lot to unpack in that, but I will say that the city's rangers have investigated each report of dog nuisance or barking in accordance with the State Government Dog Act and the best practice guidelines, which I have indicated to you before. I am conscious of the fact that this is an open investigation, so it is best that this is discussed separately as opposed to being in a council meeting. So I do understand that the Acting Service Lead, Community Safety Operations, contacted yesterday, and we're committed to updating you further, and we will do that by the end of this week.
Thank you. And your next question?
Yep, same thing. I haven't heard from the council, from the people I was supposed to have heard from. Why after the meetings at my house are the notes not being added to the investigation cases? Or if new rangers are attending to a case, why are they not reading the notes? Because there is a big transgression difference between what I was told would happen and what has actually happened. So either the notes have not been made or the new person on the case has not read the notes. So poor communication, nobody getting back to us despite calls and emails. Same, we've got an elderly neighbour who's recovering from cancer and can't sleep. We have children that can't study or go to sleep. My husband had to go to my parents to work the other day because there was that much barking. How is this allowed? What will we be doing about it? I'm sick of hearing we will get back to you. We already got back to me on the 10th of the 2nd. I already had a meeting with someone for an hour to come up with a plan that was not adhered to.
Thanks. Mr Mullins?
Through you, Mr Mayor. The city's records indicate the case was updated on the 14th of Feb 2026 with the agreed actions outlined between the city and yourself. Regrettably, when you sent the email to the service lead, Community Safety Operations, he was on leave and is still on leave. So we weren't aware of your email to him. The city's acting service lead, Community Safety Operations, again, will update you once the information you provided on the 6th of March 2026 is assessed, and we will outline to you next steps.
I also emailed Luke, and I've also emailed...
Ms McDonald, I'll ask, if you've got a third question, you're welcome to ask a third question.
Sure. So why did Luke not get back to me then? And when
Sorry, Ms McDonald, I asked you not to do that before, so I'll ask you to take your seat. We will get in contact with you. Mr Mullins will be in contact with you and happy to follow up in a more appropriate setting.
Many times. Everybody in our street is actually really sick of it now.
Can I ask Mike Masiello to come forward, please? Thank you. Just your name and suburb and your question.
Good evening, Mr Mayor, councillors, executive team and the public gallery. My name is Mike Masiello from Trigg. At the last Ordinary Council meeting, the 17th of March, I asked a question regarding $35,000 worth of vegetation planted in South Trigg by SNEC. I observed that about 90% of this vegetation had died, likely due to lack of water. This vegetation is critical to protect the coast from coastal erosion, which is obviously on the agenda tonight. The response provided by the officer in the minutes was, SNEC do not have access to specialised equipment required to undertake large-scale watering program. It was provided by an environmental contractor. The project has experienced some quality control issues which have impacted project outcomes. So that's what was provided in the minutes. Can the city please confirm who was the contractor used to water this vegetation, and please clarify the quality control issues that led to $35,000 worth of coastal vegetation dying?
Thank you. Mr Murphy?
Thank you for the question. Through you, Mr Mayor. The city's assessed the area as having a 50% survival rate and noticed that there is continued impact, not just from watering, but from trampling and some minor vandalism. In terms of the contractor engaged by SNEC, that was a company called Natural Area Consulting Management Services. And the quality control issues for watering really are about keeping up with the increased frequency of watering required during the summer periods, which is an industry-wide challenge.
Thank you. Your second question?
Can the city please confirm the names of the contractors that have an approval and or special licence to drive vehicles with specialist plant watering equipment on the beach in South Trigg? And also, please confirm who is responsible for delegating this authority for these approvals? Is that the City of Stirling or state government departments?
Thank you. Mr Murphy?
Yeah, through Mr Mayor. The city has a panel contract, and the contractors on that panel for watering services are Natural Area Consulting Management Services, Green Skills, Green Steam and Work Power. Contractors under the panel do have authorisation when engaged by the city or SNEC, and I'll provide further information in writing about that authorisation.
Thank you. Do you have a third question, Ms Mass?
I do. Natural Areas Environment, that's the company that performed the independent environmental assessment for the coastal boardwalk feasibility, is it not? Can the city please provide detailed list of fees paid by the city to the company Natural Areas Management, including directly or through affiliated companies such as EnviroSteam or via subcontract arrangement, example UDLA, for the 23 financial year to the 26 financial year to date under the following categories: consultation work, environmental assessments, surveying and management plans, that's A. B, vegetation restoration work, weeding services, vegetation watering services, fencing and erosion control management. And C, road and path weeding services via EnviroSteam and any other invoiced works by Natural Areas Consulting.
Yes, thank you. We'll respond to you in writing with detail on that one.
Thank you.
Robin Murphy?
She's not here.
Okay. Peter Bowring? Thank you. Just your name and suburb to start.
Yes, good evening. Peter Bowring from Greenwood. However, I'm here to represent the North Beach RSL sub-branch.
Evening.
I'll continue.
Yeah, your questions.
Regards the proposal of the basketball court that was to be erected at the Charles Rowley Memorial Reserve, it was indicated that the completion of that would be between January and Anzac April. There's been no activity there, so is there another timeline for this at this present time that we know of?
Mr.
Or
Clerk?
has it been put on the back burner?
Let's get... Oh, Mr Murphy, sorry.
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. The works are planned to begin construction post Anzac Day, so there is a slightly different schedule. However, the painting and line marking of the court surface will require some days of dry weather, so we can't give you an exact completion day at this point.
So after Anzac Day.
Okay, thank you. Second question. North Beach RSL has a large membership group in excess of 350 members. We're in the providing of welfare, mental and physical, to our members. We've trained advocates, are busy dealing with our members through age and conflicts that they've been involved in. We do not have a space or an office or an area where we can access at any time these members who are causing or having difficulties with their lifestyle. We're looking for confidentiality, security and camaraderie. I have to say I've worn my shoes out walking City of Stirling looking for an appropriate office or an area space where our advocates can deal with these people who some of them are moving towards suicidal acts, where our advocates can at any time of the day walk into a small area, sit down and have a confidentiality, security and the camaraderie in dealing with their problems as we go. So the question I had was that can the City of Stirling put out a call, or could you make inquiries on our behalf as to possibly a space or an area where we could conduct these interviews and support of our members?
Yes, Mr Bowring. Look, the simple answer is yes. I think city officers are probably best placed to make direct contact with you and discuss the actual needs, probably meeting with yourself and the advocates to understand. The city also works with many other service providers, so I think it'd be important for them to understand what sort of services you need as well and work out how they can link in. But yeah, let's make direct contact. There are plenty of opportunities, particularly in that area. Obviously, probably not many of them for exclusive use, but I'm sure, that can be discussed.
Yep. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Just make sure we do have your details before you leave. Lisa Thompson. And just as you come up, I'll just rule to extend public question time to answer these further questions.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr Mayor, councillor execs, councillors and the public. Mr Mayor, in relation to the consultation period for the proposed Trigg to Scarborough Boardwalk, do you think that the information sharing between the council and the ratepayers has been conducted in good faith with openness, accuracy, fairness and transparency?
Yes.
So it's transparent, yep. Then why has a recent FOI revealed that the Boardwalk project team received the GALT geotechnical report in June 2025? This report was withheld from the councillors and the public during the $16,000 consultation period. In fact, after months of ratepayer questioning, this $11,000 ratepayer funded report was only released to the FOI requester in November, 5 months after the council received it. Further, it is still not available on the city's Coastal Boardwalk public information page. How does the city consider this approach aligns with its obligations under the Local Government Act 1995 to ensure transparency, informed decision-making and meaningful community engagement, particularly when the report contains information directly relevant to the critical feasibility constraints? Mr Mayor, who and why made the decision not to release the GALT report during consultation, and is that the transparency you support?
Thank you for that question, and we'll provide you a response in writing.
Thank you. In response to a question that I asked on the 17th of March 2026, the city, during the community consultation period, 2 additional ratepayer-funded reports were withheld. The full version of the Urbis report, which suggested that Boardwalk costed the $25 million, and the HERA preliminary construction plan. After numerous questions, these reports were released on the 15th of August, halfway through the community consultation period. The HERA preliminary construction plan details proposed construction methodology, including clearing an 850 metre long, 3.3 metre plant access plant through the dunes to allow access for tracked excavators. The report suggests that these tracked excavators with torque drive heads would be required to install the helix screw piles that the report states would need to be driven up to 5 metres in depth. Mr Mayor, in the interest of ratepayers' transparency, please explain why the full version of the Urbis report and the HERA preliminary construction plan have been removed from the city's Coastal Boardwalk information page.
Thank you for that question, and we'll provide you a response in writing.
The HERA preliminary construction plan.
I think, is that 3?
The one that was released late, then removed from the city's Coastal Boardwalk page.
Sorry, Mr. I think that's already 3 questions.
I think you're right, I like this one. Suggests the need for helical screw piles driven to a depth of 5 metres for 2.5 metre boardwalk built to withstand significant wind and foot traffic on highly mobile sand dunes. The literature suggests that handheld installation of piles is limited to 2 metres for structures such as small backyard decks. The information provided to the public and councils has not been transparent, is highly contradictory and misleading. It is not possible to build a boardwalk from the existing beach access tracks, as the community and councillors were informed. My question, why has the city intentionally misled the public and councillors by claiming that a boardwalk could be built from the existing beach access tracks? And please confirm the size of the excavators required to drive piles to a depth of 5 metres. And you'll get back to me in writing. Thank you.
We will respond to you in writing with your 4th question. Thank you, Ms Thompson. Mr Hadley. I have to question myself counting up here sometimes. Mr Hadley, your name and address.
Roland Hadley, Woodlands. I'll start with the funny one. I can find it.
We'll be the judge of that, Mr Hadley.
There's nothing funny in this place, believe me. Ratepayers who read that asbestos exists in some 60 to 70 city-owned properties will consider this a very serious matter and wonder if this council has been asleep at the wheel. Approximately $120 million sits in the reserve fund. The council officers estimate that only $4.7 million is required to remove all asbestos-containing material. When we have witnessed over 500,000 spent on Christmas lights, over 550,000 on boundary markers, $500,000 allocated for a boardwalk environmental study, a minimum of $100,000 ratepayers' money spent on Mayor Irwin's trackless tram, $90,000 to illuminate a clock tower, and some $500,000 for the non-shaded garden which sits outside these premises. We suggest that this council call for tenders immediately to remove all asbestos, and could this council please provide a list of all the properties that contain asbestos? In other words, can we just not get the job done straight away in the next 2 or 3 years? End of story.
Thank you for that question. We'll provide your response in writing, and the item is on the agenda this evening.
Thank you, thank you. Ratepayers, Mayor Irwin illegally applied for a $10,000 loan from public funds to fund legal assistance in November 2025 to contest a decision made by the Local Government Standards Panel. But this application to fund his own personal appeal contravened rules and regulations of the Local Government Act. On the 10th of February, when asked
Mr.
about...
Hadley, I'll say two things. One, you're welcome to ask a question if you're going to get to one.
I will get to one if I don't get interrupted.
Thank you, Mr. Hadley. I'll ask you to get to a question now. And if you think something is contravened the Local Government Act, there are avenues for you to go through.
On the 10th of February, when asked about the matter...
A question, Mr. Hadley.
My question is, it was a blatant lie by yourself when asked about the question, whether you knew about it, and you denied it.
Is there a question, Mr. Hadley?
Yes, basically, we want you to resign, Mayor Irwin. Your controversial leadership...
Thanks. I'll just rule that out of order, Mr.
Why
Hadley.
is it out of
you can
order?
move on to your third question.
Third question, the same question. Please resign as soon as possible. Thank you.
And I'll rule that out of order too, Mr. Hadley. Robert Mitchell. Your name and address, please, Mr. Mitchell.
Robert Mitchell, Karrinyup. Good evening, Mayor, ratepayers, councillors and council officers. First, I'll start with saying thank you for the list of employees that were provided to me, although I have looked on the web and it does appear from the answer I got that there is more employees associated with the City of Stirling, and if there are, could you supply me with the number and the departments?
Yes. Yes, Ms Hawkins.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, thanks, Mr Mitchell. I appreciate we provided them with the table that you sent.
Here, so
yes, I'll provide all the information.
Now I'll get to my questions. My first one is in relation to the broad boardwalk proposal. Has it been approved by the Environmental Protection Department?
Is that your question?
Yes.
Yes. No, it hasn't yet. It will go through the approvals.
Well, I'm amazed that all this work's gone on and there's no... Forget about it. Okay. Now, can I be
now, just to be clear, we're on two. We're on two, right?
Beg your pardon?
We're on number 2. Question 2.
Yes.
Yes, good.
That's where I'm at. Can I be informed of the date, item number, at which council meeting where the change of use for the courtyard to the dry park for smokers was approved at the Karrinyup Community Centre? I note in correspondence I received that the City of Stirling is going to supply ashtrays for the Durry Dry Park.
Thank you. I don't believe there was any council agenda item that doesn't...
It wasn't, it just happened to.
Yes. And your third question?
So these things happen in the council without no one responsible, no plans, nothing.
Yes, that's correct, Mr Quirk.
That's
And officers
right,
of the
Mr.
city have ability to decide how to look after the public realm. Your third question.
What direction are we heading in? Yes, any rate, my next question is in relation to the land next door to the car park here. Is the council proposing to or in the process of either leasing or selling land adjacent to the council car park, adjacent to this council chamber, to the soccer club Perth Glory?
No.
No. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. Simon Wheeler. Thank you. Name and suburb.
Good evening, Simon Wheeler, Scarborough. Good evening, Mayor, councillors and members of the public. I hope I can be as eloquent and clear as our first two questioners, who I think did an absolute marvellous job, but I doubt it. Mayor Owen, at the EGM last week, I asked why page 85 of the annual report noted that the standards panel had reported no breaches of regulations for the reporting period. I was told that no reports had been made to the city. However, the minutes for item 18.1 for the 11th of November 2025 note that the local government standard panel found that Mayor Owen had breached sections 18 and 34 of the regulations on the 10th of November 2024. And by this time, the standards panel had also handed down the penalty. So I asked my question again, why does the annual report claim no knowledge of the breaches, given the city, and by this time all councillors, clearly knew of the findings of the standards panel?
Thank you. Mr Silence.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Mr Wheeler, for your question. I thought I did answer it at the EGM, but I will clarify again clearly for you. The annual report is only required to include details of entries that have been placed in the register for that financial year. So the details in the register include a range of items under the Local Government Act, and because the register wasn't updated in terms of that particular complaint until I think it was the 17th of February 2026, when the matter was dealt with in terms of an apology by Mayor Irwin, and only at that time was the register updated. So therefore, the annual report is correct in terms of saying that there was no entries in the register.
Thank you. And your next question?
Well,
next question, thanks, Mr Wheeler.
This is the preamble to my question, Mayor. The annual report said there had been no reports from the standards panel, which is not the case. Anyway, the city received an invoice on the 31st of December 2025 for some $1,300 for legal services in relation to an abandoned SAT appeal funded by council under the city's legal representation policy, following a request, you may not recall it, Mayor Owen, but following a request by yourself on the 5th of November 2025. My question is simple, Mayor Owen. Have you refunded the ratepayers of the City of Stirling for this unfulfilled and rather pointless expenditure, and for any other currently unknown expenses in relation to your request for ratepayers to fund your appeal against the standards panel?
Thank you. Mr Silence.
Through you, Mr Mayor, in terms of the repayment, any cost repayment from an elected member in terms of legal representation costs will be in accordance with the resolution that council has made. In terms of the schedule accounts that are listed on tonight's agenda, in both January and February, there are 3 items totaling a level of $3,712.50 for legal and conveyancing costs for Thompson Gear. And there's 3 entries in the list of payments in tonight's agenda.
Thank you.
With respect, Mayor, and I asked if if that would be repaid by yourself.
Thank you. We'll respond to you in writing, Mr Wheeler.
Okay. Mayor, I have a third question, but in deference to our younger members, I will leave it till the next meeting. Thank you.
Peter Krasenstein, please.
My name is Peter Krasenstein from Dianella. In August 24, I was contacted to tell me that I have two large 35-year-old mop top trees on my front verge that I put in at my own expense. And I was told that one of them had Bora beetle and had to be removed. And I agreed with that. And they had said that, look, let's take out both trees because this Bora beetle is bad and it might attack the other tree. And I did ask at the time if I could keep my other tree. When they came to remove it, they were going to contact me when they were removing, and they didn't contact me. They came in and I said, listen, I've organised to keep one tree. And they said, we've been authorised to take out both. They took out both, and then they came and I said, well, are you going to replace trees? They said, yes, but we're going to bore out the roots and we'll come back in 6 months once the roots have gone, and then we can put 2 new trees in. So when they took out the trees, they destroyed my reticulation. So all my lawn and all my gardens that were reticulated in that area died. And I kept on contacting the council and telling them I had a problem. They put me on to DPIRD, I don't know who they are, and they said it's not their responsibility, it's the council's. I got back to the council, they told me to go back to them. Then they put me on to people that actually took the roots out, and I was going from one to the other one without success. And I kept on with this, and there's about 10 or more emails backwards and forwards, and I have photos of, I had, in my opinion, the best garden in the street that I had a landscaper do when we moved into the home, and it went from the best house, the best verge in the street, to the second worst. So I got back the original landscapers, and they gave me a quote once the lawn was decimated.
I do need you to get to a question, sir.
My question is, I did ask for the council to pay to rectify my problem, and they refused. And so I said to them, well, how about if I pay to rectify it and I deduct it from my rates and taxes if I pay myself? The original quote from the landscaper who originally did the deal was $10,000. I said I'll get other people. I thought that was exorbitant. So I got other people to do it, and I have spent just a bit over what my council rates are. My council rates were due last August, and I haven't paid them. So in 6 months, I haven't got any notification from the council, and I just am assuming, I don't want to store up a hornet's nest, but I'm just assuming that they've agreed with me not paying my council rates because they haven't contacted me in 7 months, and I can get on with my life.
I better be careful what I say here. Look, I understand your frustration, sir. Look, we're not going to solve this tonight. How about we get?
I've texted, yes.
How about we get your details and make sure one of our city officers is in contact with you and follows up? We'll get our director in contact.
Yeah, one of the city officers, because I was getting no success, advised me to come to the meeting tonight.
Yeah, sure. And we'll ensure we get one of the directors to sit down with you.
Sensational.
We'll take it to the top.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all I have on my agenda for question time. So I will now move on to the meeting. Item 8 is application for leave of absence. Councillors, are there any requests for leave of absence? There's no indication. Confirmation of the minutes. Councillors, can I have a mover and a seconder for the minutes? Move Councillor Christovich, seconder Councillor Papadon. Just a show of hands, please, councillors, to approve the minutes. That is unanimous. Thank you. Announcements by the presiding member. Look, I will just, if I can find them. I might not be able to find it now. I've lost my notes. Look, I was just going to make a brief announcement and just acknowledge myself and some of the councillors attended the golf awards on Friday night. Obviously, the incredible Hammersley Golf Course was up for an award as one of the best golf courses in Western Australia. But we're also there because 3 of our other golf courses were up for awards. So we had Lake Karrinyup Country Club also up for an award. The West Australian was also there, and Mount Lawley Golf Club. All 3 clubs were finalists in their awards, but I particularly just want to acknowledge the Mount Lawley Golf Club. They took out 5 of the awards. They pretty well cleaned up on the night, not only for individual awards, for their volunteers, for their coaching, those sort of things, also as Club of the Year, but also individuals, things like Volunteer of the Year. I think the most notable, because we dealt with such significant environmental considerations over the last few years with the club in the way they manage their trees. They received environmental awards as well. So it was very significant being recognised for the incredible work they do as land managers, as well as being a fantastic golf club. So well done, Mount Worley. They did a great job. Item 11 is unresolved business from previous meetings. I have nil. Now we'll go on to reports and recommendations of committee on item 12. Councillors will deal with items from the Community and Resource Committee meeting. Are there any items you wish to be pulled out on these? If there's, Councillor Dudek.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I might just pull out 12.1 IA1. IA1. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hatton.
Yeah, could I please pull out 12.1 RL1?
RL1, yes. Are there any others? Councillor Ree.
Yes, thank you. I've just a question for 12.1 ES1 and 12.1 F1, please. But I'd like to pull 12.1 PACS1, please. So the others are questions.
So all of them. Good. Okay. So, great. So, councillors, we'll go as a start to item 12.1 ES1, the Coastal Adaptation Options Assessment on Meadams Pool. Councillor Criado as chair of the committee.
I would like to move the committee's recommendation.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Ree, you're seconding? Yep. Is there anyone opposed to this item? If not, Councillor Ree, your questions?
Yes. I'd like to thank the officers for the report and the additional information, much appreciated. What I'm a bit concerned about is that with regard...
Councillor.
The question is...
Okay, but if you, as soon as you say I'm concerned with it, you are debating. So, is there a question?
Yes.
Thank you.
My question is, with regard to my motion regarding the artificial reef at Brighton, which was passed by this council.
In 1980, was it? Like, seriously, councillor, how's that got anything to do with this?
Well, if you read the report, it's about an artificial reef, and if you wait till I finish, you might find out. So, my question is, with regard to the motion, it was approved by this council for Brighton. What happened to that motion?
Okay, we can take that offline, councillor. It's nothing to do with this.
I did ask it at the other day, and we got a copy of the motion.
They're two water objects, but they are completely unrelated.
In this report, it refers to an artificial reef as
not a surfing
problem.
Reef off Brighton. This is about mitigating coastal...
It wasn't necessarily surfing. It was also there to mitigate the sand drift. Because what happened at...
Councillor, we'll take that offline. The CEO will get back to you on it, but it's not related to this particular item. Are there any questions regarding this item? Can I maybe get you to make some notes about it? We have got people who've waited for this, that's all, and we pulled the item out, so it'd be good to hear a couple of people just say something. Councillor Criado, these students have come out with their parents.
Anything.
Just give us anything, councillors. Councillor, you can take a seat. Councillor Criado, please.
Okay. This item, there were quite a few questions at committee, and the report is very detailed, gives us a few different options, which people could be able to read, but there are options around which some of the questions asked tonight by our visitors were around sand nourishment and as well as what long-term options the city is looking at. I think the report overall was well received by the committee.
Thank you. Councillor Kristovich.
Thank you very much. Obviously, I'm very happy to say a few words supporting this report and supporting the outcomes of this report. I've been involved in talking to the community about Waterman's Bay and Meadams for the last 16 years in terms of things that can be done there, and was initially part of the city's response when the sandbags went into Waterman's Bay, and in terms of obviously maintaining the amenity on our beaches. And I think it's very important, obviously, we know that a lot of people use our beaches all year round, and especially at Meadams Pool. You know, people are there, believe it or not, in the middle of winter, at the coldest time ever, swimming, you know, all of our senior citizens predominantly. And I don't know how they do it, but, you know, the beaches along there are very important, not only for amenity, but also in terms of maintaining the stability of the dunes and the stability of the headland. And we know that there has been some erosion in storms in the past, And I think, from this particular assessment, sand nourishment has proven to be obviously the most cost effective and the best outcome in the short term. And I think that's a good decision to continue to do that. And I know that parts of Trigg, where we take the sand from, it'd be interesting to see if we actually didn't take the sand from parts of Trigg, how far that sand bank would go out, because I reckon that beach might have a long way to go out, with the amount of sand that builds up there in that part of the year. So, from the point of view of the artificial reef, there's a lot of benefits from that as well in terms of investigating that. There are artificial reefs in other parts of the coast, which other councils have implemented. So I think it's very important to look at that from the point of view of reducing the motion and the severity of the waves coming in from the coast. But it also does offer other opportunities, such as people who want to scuba dive and the natural environment, and also potentially for recreation purposes. So I think the report is very well done. I think there's still a long way to go in terms of some of those next level items, but I'm looking forward, as is the community, to see where it all leads to.
Thank you very much. And there is Councillor Ferranti.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I just want to commend the questions that we've received from the public this evening. They're fantastic questions, and I can recall when I was their size going to those various beaches. So we want to make sure that we keep it for the next generation on, and making sure as a council we support the younger teams that coming through the system, so they can see what we saw when we were kids. So congratulations to the children. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor. There is no one opposed, so we'll put that item to the vote. Thanks, councillors. That is unanimous. That item is carried. We'll now go on to item 12.1 RL1, the swimming lessons and water safety advocacy. Councillor Criado.
I would like to move the committee's recommendation.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Ree has seconded. Is there anyone opposed? Councillor Hatton.
Mr Mayor, I have an alternative, so I'm opposed.
Thank you. Councillor Criado.
This item was discussed at length at committee, and we think that the officer's recommendation around offering a subsidy as a trial basis to certain schools for swimming lessons and potentially towards the transport as well would be well received. And most of the schools that have been identified are in consultation with the Department of Education, are in areas where normally families would not be able to attend the swimming lessons. So we think that it is a good pilot project, and some of us supported it. I have nothing further to add.
Councillor Ree.
Thank you. The reason I put this up is because the increase in the amount of children drowning, which, we do our best. We have an ocean, we have lakes, we have rivers, we have everything here. So it's important in Western Australia that children do have swimming lessons. And yes, it might not have been compulsory in some schools. It depends on whether or not it's a private or a public school. So I think this is going a long way to make sure that we capture the people that maybe do not have the funds in which to go. I think the important thing about the pool entry and the transport costs, if we look at the transport costs today with the cost of fuel, that could be impeding a family trying to get to swimming. So I think it's important that we keep both in and we leave it up to the staff to make the better judgment on which way we should go. They're the ones having to deal with the school. They're the ones that know what's going on. But I'd just like to ask, do we know how much the Education Department spends on swimming lessons? Please?
I don't think we do. Mr Cameron?
I couldn't give you through the chair, I couldn't give an exact cost on what the lessons cost the Education Department. However, based on rough calculations, 4 schools of, say, 54 lessons per day would cost the Education Department in the vicinity of about $11,000, which would be 4 schools, 5 days program, targeting 640 kids.
Thank you. So through you, so having $50,000 would actually go a long way to support those schools in our $350 million budget And I can't see anyone who would go against that. Another question, if I may, please. The cost of drowning. Do we have an idea of how much the cost of drowning is these days?
Yeah. I don't know if we do, but there are published reports through Royal Life. So, Mr. Cameron.
Thank you. Through the chair, based on a academic report written in 2018 calculating the economic burden of fatal drowning in Australia, the cost per drowning is $4.64 million per incident, and for non-fatal drowning, $690,000 per incident.
Well, that in itself, and let's not forget that might be a financial cost, but the mental cost and the heartbreaking that we would have from people not only associated with the person that may have drowned, but also it has repercussions throughout a network, throughout workforce, throughout families. So that's another important thing what we're doing. I mean, we are supposed to be community-based, looking after the community. It isn't a lot of money. I think we should go forward and seeing how it goes. And you've got to remember too, this is a pilot. If we find out that, you know, most schools would rather have, you know, towards the transport rather than getting into the swimming at the aquatic centre, then that's the call we will find out. But we won't know until we do it. So I'd ask for your support because this going forward is really important, not only for our conscience, but it's also important for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hatton.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to, would I be foreshadowing the alternative recommendation or talking to it now?
Just foreshadowing it, but you can give us an indication what it is.
Okay, as you can see on the screen, it's not very different to what the committee recommendation is. Really, if you look at the two parts of it, what I'm suggesting in part one is that we only subsidise free pool entry and we don't subsidise transport, and I can give reasons for that in debate. And also in part one, it actually adds some more specifics as to why we should be doing it, probably more specific than what we have in the committee recommendation. Part two remains the same as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. Yep, so you can debate now if you...
So I do speak against the committee recommendation and for this alternative, and I do understand it might be fairly difficult for people to support this. Maybe I can give more context to it by saying that last week I did say in committee that there is specific funding by the Education Department for swimming and water safety through schools, and I believe it remains the responsibility of the Education Department and the state government. The city already plays a significant role in reducing the cost barriers, addressing the concerning gap in aquatic education. There's no doubt about that. We already do a lot. However, I want to mention two key points that come up a lot with across Australia, with all the states and local councils across Australia, and that is one of cost shifting and also mission creep. The issue with the cost shifting is that successive state government and federal governments are continuing to put our obligations onto the city. Let's take, for instance, emergency services, regulatory services such as food safety, inspections and so forth. We have our tied grants and our conditional grants. So they might fund in some ways, in some areas, over a decade or two. We see this cost shifting, and we get looped into that, and we find it very hard not to go with it. It's happening all across Australia. And then we have the mission creep. Mission creep is when we are actually going into areas that are not traditionally areas that we should have as local council. Into the social areas maybe, social welfare, health, housing, because the needs aren't being met by state or federal government. The federal government takes in 75% of taxes across Australia. They are the biggest revenue gaining entity, and the state government then feeds off into education, police and health and infrastructure, roads, etc. Whereas the state government, and they get funding from federal for that. Where do we get our funding from? Just from ratepayers and maybe from parking, fines and things like that. I'll try to speed it up a bit. what I'm saying is we get very little funding and we have competing services to deliver, and we do deliver those well. In the area of swimming, we deliver up to 10 services already, or modes of delivery. We have specific funding for swimming and water safety through the Education Department. We play a role in reducing the cost barrier in aquatic education in general. We have service delivery I'll just go back to these notes here. Excuse me a moment. We have service delivery as a major provider in pool and across 3 pools. We have the acceptance of kids sport vouchers. Other councils do too. We provide off-peak pricing. We partner with Royal Lifesaving WA for COLD programs, culturally and linguistically diverse programs. We provide private lessons for students with impairments. Plus, we have the Cities to Pool Beach initiative where we provide education as such. We also support the Education Department in-term swimming with pool space, which is fine, that's good, and schools only pay for the entry fee. So I bring back to this here, this is about cutting off, completely eliminating entry fees with the $50,000, but I do not think that we should be going into the area of transport. It's not our remit. There's some other things also that we're doing, up to maybe 10 things already. So I don't think we have to have a moral or a social conscience to say that we need to contribute when we're already in cost, we're already experiencing mission creep with a lot of things we do already.
Can I ask you to wrap up, Councillor?
Yep, sure. So I just want councillors to consider what I've said, consider the fairness to our ratepayers, and not get too emotional about it, because we, the city, are doing some great things, and in the area of swimming, we're really doing good already. Thank you.
Councillor Migdale.
Thanks, Mayor. I just want to say I completely agree with Councillor Hatton and his approach to this. I believe that this is beyond our remit as a local government. There are children both, I know the drowning numbers, and I know that very, very sadly, City of Stirling has had to face incidents, whether it be at our coastal beaches or city pools, incidents of children near drownings and sadly some drownings. This is learning how to swim, falls within state government, and it goes through our education system, and that is where the funding stream comes from. It is beyond the remit of our local government, and I do not believe that residents should need to fork out. I mean, if in this instance, if we did put this forward, there's 100 other things that I think we should also, in a perfect world, finance or look at covering as well. But I respect that residents don't want their rates to go up by 100%, and we do have a Local Government Act which clearly outlines what is within our remit and what is not. And in this instance, I have to disagree, so I won't be supporting this.
Thank you for that. Just for anyone watching at home, there is no indication that your rates will go up 100%. Councillor Kristovich.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Look, obviously, this was debated hotly at the committee, and I'm very supportive of the recommendation that's being put up there. In terms of cost shifting and, you know, whether, and I was listening to Councillor Hatton list all the things we do, and I got the impression that, because his alt rec obviously says still spend $50,000, so we're not actually saving any money. He's just saying we do all these things, we shouldn't spend the money, but then we are spending the money. So anyway, to me, it's very simple here. If we're doing this, and in terms of our remit, I mean, we offer lots of rebates. We offer a security rebate to people. You know, if they want to put cameras in, that's not our business necessarily. So there's lots of things we do as a council that we think are valuable. Now, this is obviously for children in locations and schools where they can't afford to go to swimming. Now, if they can't afford to pay the entry, or if the school can't afford to get them there, then obviously the transport cost is part of that as well. So there's not much point saying, well, we'll give you entry costs, but you can't afford to pay the transport, so you're not going. You're not going to get the bus. You're not going to go to this school. There's obviously been discussions between the officers, the relevant schools concerned, the education department, and it's a worthwhile cause because we know that in these particular locations, these particular schools, they don't have a high skill set when it comes to swimming or water safety. So I think anything we can do to try and make them more aware of that and get them to those swimming pools, I think is a good thing. And like I said, in this case, the alternative is still spend the $50,000. So it's not like we're saving a cent or doing anything any different. And I think the transport cost and the vouchers are legitimately bundled together because they are a cost. And like I said, this has been consulted, so I don't think we should be changing this on the fly at the last minute without going back and again consulting with the schools and say, well, does this make a difference? If you can't get the transport cost, is there any point in even running the program? So look, I will support the original motion that was put forward that obviously consulted both with the Education Department, the schools and the officers because they're in the best position to know exactly what's worthwhile.
Thank you, Councillor. We will get to that. We've got a couple more who've indicated. I will just quickly mention, because I've done this the last few meetings, at the risk of getting booed by council, it's normally after the first 3 or 4 planned and really passionate debates that everyone feels they need to speak. So I just ask you, because as it goes on, what I see is hands go up because I think, oh, I've had a thought bubble, I've had a thought bubble. And then we go completely off track. So I do have Councillor Perkoff and Councillor Papard, but I just ask you, caution you, think about whether you have something to add to the debate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Irwin. Mayor Irwin and councillors, no one's denying that this is a very good motion, and but I will be supporting the alternate rec this evening. My learned colleague, Councillor Kosticevich, says it's 50k. We're still spending it. In one hand, I have 50k's worth of swimming lessons. In the other hand, I have 50k's worth of swimming lessons and transport. This is called learn to swim, not learn how to get there. So the math is wrong. I would rather spend it on people being able to swim, learning how to swim, not on buses, petrol, drivers, you name it, and so on, Mr. Mayor. Great motion. I'm going to be supporting the old rec. It makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Thank you. You know I don't debate from the chair. I will just clarify that if you read the report, the reason the bus is included is the reason they're not doing the swimming lessons is because they can't get them to the pool. Just want to clarify that. I think it's a fairly important point. Councillor Papard.
Isn't transport free for kids anyway by the state government? Is that correct?
No, state government provide a subsidy. I think it's almost about 85% of the costs. So.
Well, I won't labour the point, but I do certainly find it increasingly difficult in my mind, as others have said, to reconcile the logic of the proposal within the broader fiscal framework. Now,
whoa!
When we're looking at tightening our belts within the City of Stirling, and the states are currently awash with money. They have yet chosen to, of course, discontinue their swimming subsidies. So they labelled it a once-off initiative. So by proposing $50,000 in the schools to pool grant, we are effectively asking our residents who are already subsidising our pools to the world-class aquatic facilities through the rates, and now to pay for the transport. And so that's where, as been mentioned earlier, I do have a problem with that. So I would suggest that if people can't afford it, then they can either ask their local state representatives to ask as to whether they can advocate for them to the state government or the executive, or ask their council to advocate further with the state government to get them to support swimming for our kids. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. That's all Councillor Ferrante.
Just a quick one, Mr. Mayor. Would it be possible that the mover and the seconder incorporate the proposed foreshadowed motion and look at that option as an option
I wouldn't,
before we get to the end of it?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. So as chair, the reason I wouldn't allow it is for that reason I just mentioned. The the officer recommendation is, if you read the report, it's about the transport to get to the pool as much as anything. And the alternative takes away the transport. So I think the debate's been clear, and I think we're happy to let that. I'll go to you, Councillor Crowder, to close.
Yes.
That was impressive, Councillor Papard.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The proposal that the officers put to us, the program is called Schools to Pools. That's firstly. Secondly, a number of children, it's not about just having the entry fee, because in the past, when the state program was in operation and schools were able to access subsidies into the pools and to use the subsidy as well, for many schools, particularly for schools in lower socioeconomic areas, 5 of which are in the Balgo ward, actually getting to the pool was an issue, because the parents could not afford the increased cost of transportation in the past few years. To get children, some schools also tried getting the children to walk to the pools, to the Balga Leisure Centre, but sometimes the weather is inclement because they don't always get the booking that they desire, and it could be either very hot or it could be raining, or depending on which time of the year they get the booking to the pool. And transportation was the major barrier for all these families to actually get to the pools. Therefore, the officers have put in that recommendation that it should be at the discretion of the school, in consultation with the officers and the school as to what is the major barrier. So in the past, the city has also, supported a lot of pilot programs. We supported mats and umbrellas at the beach at a cost to the city. This is about educating the future generation on how to learn to swim safely. Firstly, in the pool. We also support learn to swim or beach safety through the surf life-saving programs, and we spend a lot of money on those as well. And it's all money well spent. We have spent money on a number of other issues that is not cost shifting, but not the primary responsibility of a local government, but we give away free trees. We have a number of recycling workshops. We give gift bags away. We do a number of community engagement activities. This pilot project is about allowing families in the lower socioeconomic areas, and the additional information sent to all of us earlier today and this week was about, they've identified 5 schools. All of these schools have approached us around transportation costs, which is the major barrier to get to the program. And therefore, I'm obviously in support of the officer's recommendation for transportation as well as the pool entry fees, that this fund, it is only a pilot. We will evaluate the results and the report will come back to council to consider whether this should be an ongoing part of our program, or we advocate, and the second part of the motion is to advocate to our state government in order to support these schools. So I would ask for your support to not just think about this in the short term, but the children of today are our adults of tomorrow. So you are actually training the future potential users of our aquatic facilities, because they have had the ability to go and access subsidized swimming lessons. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Crowder. That does close the debate. Move Councillor Crowder, second to Councillor Reid. Noting there is a foreshadowed motion from Councillor Hatton. On behalf of the children of Stirling, I will put this motion. We've got Councillor Ion to go. Thank you. And that motion is carried. Thank you. For we have Councillor Crowder, Dudek, Ferrante, Christovich, Olo, Proud, Ree, Thornton and myself, and against Councillor Hatton, Ion, Migdale, Papard and Pergoff. Thanks, councillors. We'll go on to item 12.1, IA1, the Environmental Sustainability Policy. Councillor Crowder.
Yes, I would like to move the committee's recommendation.
Okay, is there a seconder for this motion? Councillor Thornton. Is anyone opposed? Councillor Dudek. Thank you. Councillor Crowder.
I have nothing further to say to this item, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Thornton.
Yes, Mr Mayor. This policy before us tonight, it's a well-designed policy. It modernises sustainability. It also aligns with the new legislative changes. It also introduces something extremely important, risk management. That's important to our assets for future planning and also our insurance. We have to give consideration to that. It's also, it gives us as a city a framework to make better decisions and over time, while still allowing flexibility in how we achieve those outcomes. And without that framework, we risk inconsistent decision-making, missed opportunities, and ultimately a higher long-term cost, both financially and environmentally. Most importantly, policies like this are not static. They can be reviewed, refined and updated as our technology evolves and as better data becomes available. So rather than locking us in, this policy actually positions us as a city to be more adaptive, more strategic and more accountable in how we respond to sustainability.
Thank you. Councillor Dudek.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I rise today to oppose 12.1 IA1. As I indicated before, I actually don't have too many issues with us updating this policy. I think it's very necessary. I'll just quickly try to outline my concerns, I guess, stemming from the 25th of November council meeting when we discussed this and we decided to defer the motion to a future Community Resources Committee meeting. And I watched that meeting back and some of the reasons that we gave for the deferral. And specifically, it was a preference to closer align to the descriptive key principles wording of the current policy as opposed to the new prescriptive wording of the new policy. Totally understand this needs to be updated to match with better align with the current Local Government Act. And I do support that. But if we look at the broader fiscal implications on page 58 of the agenda, you do see that there's quite a lot of that could come from this, so we need to consider it carefully. I don't want to get rid of this policy. I think it's very right that we do review it to align with the Local Government Acts, but I've just got a foreshadowed motion that perhaps we can refer it, try get that wording better aligned with the current policy where we've got the key principles format. I think it's a bit less prescriptive and gives us a bit more leeway in not being in breach of it. So my foreshadowed motion.
Well, we'll just leave it as a referral. You can put it now if it's, because you've given the reason, so I think it's clear why you want to do it.
As a procedural?
Yeah, so we can leave it as, because it is a procedural.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm happy to do it as a procedural then in that case.
It reads as a procedural, so I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
So is there a seconder for your procedural? I'll see. So we've got Councillor Migdale over there. So it's a procedural, no debates needed. The reasoning's clear. I'll put it to the vote. I think we've got one to go. Is that, or is that it? That's it. My numbers aren't great tonight, are they? That motion is carried, so that is referred. So I'll just read out the vote. So for we have Councillors Crowdo, Dudek, Ferrante, Hatton, Iron, Kristovich, Migdal, Olo, Papard, Perkoff and Ree. And against we have Councillors Proud, Thornton and myself. That is referred. I'll go to item 12.1 F1. If I can go to, there's just a question, Councillor. So I think we do need to move a motion though, don't we?
Yes.
So Councillor Criado will get the motion.
Yes, I would like to move the committee's recommendation.
Thank you. Are you happy to second just with a question, Councillor Ree, or are you going to use the word "I'm concerned"? Are you going to have a question or is it debate? I just need to know before
I'm concerned about your comments. No, it shouldn't be a debate. I've actually...
So are you seconding with a question?
Okay, I'll second with a question.
Okay. Continue.
Thank you. As we weren't allowed to ask questions at the committee,
that is not,
I did liaise with the staff. It was? told we couldn't ask any questions at committee, if you look at the tape. I did ask a couple of questions, as I was told to do.
You are debating, councillor. You're not asking a question.
No, I'm giving you background. So I'd like to just raise on page 3, the course to Sydney.
I'll work it out. You just give me a question. Sorry, you want to... I'm not sure what you're asking.
On page 3, there was a course to Sydney. Didn't quite make any sense.
Thank you, through the chair, and thanks, Councillor Reid, for providing the question. So that related to actually an online training course for elected member at $3,700.
A training course for elected member in Sydney.
It's an online course.
I was a long course. Oh, okay. I don't know why I couldn't get that before, but anyway. Page 12, the Samba cost.
Ms Hawkins.
Thank you, through the chair. That was an amount related to the community grants programme for the support for the Brazilian Beach Carnival event.
Councillor
That was
Reid.
38,000. That seems. I didn't. When I double checked, I didn't think we had budgeted that much for it. So I thought that was.
Ms Hawkins.
Misprint.
Through the chair, no, that's correct, Councillor Reid. It was community grants programme.
Okay. Well, sorry, the other ones have been answered. Thank you.
Thank you. So there's no one opposed, so I'll put that one to the vote. Thank you. That is unanimous, councillors. We have the last one, 12.1 PACS1, lease and licence policy, noting Councillor Corrado has a financial interest and will leave. Councillor Papard as deputy. Once Councillor Corrado has left, I'll just get you to...
Yes, I move the committee's recommendation.
Councillor, just
What's that?
give us a sec. Yeah. I get too excited. Okay, now you may.
I messed up already.
No, you're doing all right.
I'm fired. No, I move the committee's recommendation on that particular item.
Thank you. Councillor Ferrante is happy to second it. Is there anyone opposed to this item? Councillor Reid? Councillor Papard?
Yes, there was a lot of debate on this. We debated it at length on various issues, talking about the various categories on which clubs should be where. I probably won't expand at this stage, and understanding there might be some further lengthy debate, but I just, as it stands, recommend the committee's recommendation. I'll leave it at that.
Thanks, Councillor Ferrante.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm supportive of this, especially now I know the officers have been actively and proactively working with all the smaller stakeholders to get an understanding of the issues they have, and thankfully they've been resolving a lot of those issues once the leasing conditions have been explained to all the community leaders. The success rate has been very high, so I commend the officers for all their hard work, and I'll be supporting it this evening.
Thank you. Councillor Reid?
Thank you very much. And I actually raised this ages ago because of a lot of concerns by the community, and I really thank Mrs Hawkins because she's been there from the beginning of this saga, so it's been very good. A couple of concerns. I'm still, and I use my term concerned, that
you're debating now, so that's okay.
A lot of ratepayers and some of the clubs, especially when we're looking at Schedule 5, 4 and 5, that the bowling clubs can put into both. Could I get a comment, please? Because some of them are a bit concerned, because it's a difference between finding $10,000 and finding $6,000, and this economic climate is really difficult. So could we have it, and bowling clubs are issued in both?
Yeah, and it's simply the scale of the clubs. Who's the best place to answer that, Mr Cameron?
Thank you. Through the chair, the reason that the clubs are spread over Category 4 and Category 5, Councillor Ree, is in relation to their financial sustainability. Following the bowls review that we completed in 2025, it became evident that, based on the principle of being no worse off, some of the clubs would be significantly worse off if we imposed that cost on them. So the intention is to have a staggered approach where we work with them over the first period of the lease and try and improve their sustainability to a point where they can, in fact, all fit or afford the Category 5 payment.
Thank you. But through you, Chair, on page 97 for anyone that wants to follow me, it's the bowling study that was done a couple of years ago. What happens if today they're worth millions or they go down to 10 cents? Can they float when things go wrong, or is it something that they're locked into for a year and then we make a decision? I think the concern is that in this economic climate, even fuel has affected them. They could get, I went to a meeting today about bird flu, COVID, all these things are happening. If it changes, when do we reassess them? Do we reassess them when they're really past go and destroyed, or do we reassess them when they're winning lotto? How are we going to do this so that we as a collective councillors don't get all these phone calls and messages from bowling clubs saying we can't pay it because something's gone wrong? I'm concerned that this might not give the flexibility to the staff.
So it simply does. The simple thing is council's role is to adopt a framework. The information given with the lease and licence review framework is to ensure that it simplifies the process for all the clubs. It doesn't put any extra pressure on the clubs. It's grossing up all of those utility payments that they would normally pay. It's not up for council to take those calls and deal with those on an individual basis. If clubs have issues, they're dealing on a weekly basis already with an incredible team that operates under Mr Cameron and Mr Quirk. That team works with clubs on a daily basis. And there are a number of clubs, I won't mention them, but there's clubs now where there are officers permanently stationed inside those clubs to ensure they are sustainable. So I can tell you I'm very confident that the city officers look after the clubs and ensure their sustainability. So it's not about waiting 2 years, 5 years, or any of that. If a club's got issues, they would be talking to our team and they would be getting the assistance they need.
Well, I hope so. That's going to be fluid. That was the point, just making sure that it is fluid. One of the things that they're concerned about is that it was mentioned at committee, I think it was around $5,000 at some of the maintenance are. Well, they have a men's shed, a men's day, a women's day, busy bee day, make it non-gender specific, a busy bee day. And so they don't have those costs because they're doing it all themselves. So now that they're going to have to pay the costs, then where do the busy people, sometimes they're not equating, they don't feel that they're something they can do for nothing, now they're going to have to pay for. It's just a concern about the flexibility of it all, and it's a lot of money what they're having to bring. So I'll just leave flexibility. I'll just leave, and I have discussed this at length.
And can I'll just comment on that, because I think it is important. It's been discussed at length, and I know the city officers have been working with the clubs. It is acknowledged that all clubs, there's different capabilities within all clubs. When we talk in this particular model about the lease and licence, when it talks about the maintenance schedules and those things, it's not about the clean-up days and cleaning out storerooms. This is about, and we know the demographics of some of our clubs, but also the risk profile to have members of clubs cleaning air conditioning units, dismantling air conditioning units, cleaning gutters out on roofs, that sort of climbing up steep ladders when they shouldn't be. It's that sort of stuff is the maintenance and program, or maintaining boards. That's the sort of maintenance programs that we're talking about in a lease and licence agreement.
Thanks. And look, I think it's a good step going forward, and we needed to make it fairer with everybody based on that first meeting we had. The other thing is on page 94, the 2A. I am concerned that the way that's worded, the authority to dispose of property by way of lease or licence to a body, whether incorporated or not, objects of which are a charitable, benevolent, religious, cultural, education, recreation, sporting or other nature, and which are not entitled or permitted to receive any pecuniary profit from the body's transaction. So does that mean, I got asked that if I'm presuming, well, I thought this meant on our land, but maybe not, that if there's a lot of little churches and little theatres and that are not past their use by date, but just because of the way the world's going aren't used anymore, does that imply that the city can take it over and it doesn't have to come back to council for any approval. It's just that somebody rang me and they were quite concerned about the way it is worded, and I was more concerned about other things the other day and I forgot to ask.
Yeah. So who wants to answer this one? Look, it's important to note that the council doesn't and community don't need to alter the wording in these. These are obviously legislative process referring to the delegation that is given. It's not referring to the actions that will be taken. So there is no reason that council should be concerned that whilst the CEO through delegated officers has the ability to negotiate is exactly what you're asking for. You're asking that while there's a framework there, you want to know that officers have the delegated authority to understand those real needs of the clubs and ensure that if there is alterations or conditions that are needed for each particular club, they can be implied. They then will go to the CEO and myself to sign off, and councillors will be notified, and that commitment's been given to Ms Hawkins.
Concern is like, you know, the Stirling players with the Innaloo Community Hall, that 1 minute one report said that they were only going to be used as a rehearsal place and storage, and that worried them. And then, you know, maybe with this means they demolish it and you build a brand new something or something, you know, it's like, where are they going to fit in? They're not necessarily religious, they're just whatever. But the Scouts are in the same predicament. And yes, it is all over the place. It's just verifying that the communication will be there, and maybe if it's done, will it come back and the councillors get informed, or at least ward councillors get informed if any of this takes place?
I can assure
transparency?
you. I think the city's track record in dealing with its hundreds of member groups and clubs would attest to that. You know, there's no reason for anyone in the community to be concerned. I can't think of too many examples where the city has had to step in without plenty of warning and prior notice and councillors being informed. It just doesn't happen.
But there are clubs where they have been there for years and have had to go because other clubs have been moved in and things like that, not necessarily the building. I mean, it's a bigger picture, but that's where some people get fearful of what's going to happen next. So I'm just making sure that it is transparent and we actually know what's going on, that's all.
Yep.
Not that we don't trust this CEO. Just that we like to be transparent.
Yeah. I think you can be assured it's called a lease and licence agreement. You know, I have Councillor Dudak, then I have Councillor Migdal.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I do share some of Councillor Ree's concerns, but I also thank the officers for being in discussion with me this week, assuaging some of my concerns, and it's specifically to do with, you know, clubs that have had access to their club rooms for a long time and perhaps not having access to it for the entirety of their season, but I'm fairly confident that our officers will be able to work through that and find acceptable arrangements for everyone. The only questions I just had on this was, obviously we're giving up delegated authority here, or we're delegating authority here. Just wondering, is this time limited, or are we giving up authority in perpetuity for these lease and licences?
Thank you. Ms Hawkins?
Thank you, through the Chair. Thanks, Councillor Dudek. With regards to this particular delegation, and you'll see from the point sort of D where it talks about the $10,000, this is particular to the categories as they stand today in the lease and licence policy. So it's about what we're dealing with in front of us tonight, not something in perpetuity, which that figure may change depending on council. So it's about implementing the policy tonight for the lease and licences from this first period. It's not about perpetuity.
And I'll get Mr Salents to add some comments too, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thanks for the question, Councillor Dudak. I suppose part two of the motion is more of that technical sense in terms of, as the Director of Corporate Services said, just implementing in terms of what the policy direction is. So there's certain disposal requirements under both the Local Government Act and the Functions and General Regulations. So it's just tying in the correct delegation and wording and powers that are in those particular pieces of legislation to allow basically officers to implement what the policy is actually saying. But sorry, just to add, Mr Mayor, the delegations are reviewed every year. So of course there is that opportunity if council was of the mind it was concerned with this delegation going forward.
Okay, so I think that assuages that concern for myself as well. I might just quickly clarify. So if, say after the a lease was offered 5 years plus 5 years, say for example, at the end of that 10 years, would the default position be that it would come back to council unless a similar motion were passed again in the future?
Mr. Slents?
I think in terms of what the renewal aspect will be, so I think in terms of Part 2B, that obviously there is the renewal options to a lease or licence. That can happen after the 10-year time frame from happening. So I think the simple answer is yes, the officers can actually extend that going forward.
No, not pass. So, Mr. Slents, can I just clarify? My understanding is that at the 10 years at the end of the lease, historically, council's seen the leases as a... Ms Hawkins?
Apologies through the chair, might be me confusing things. So yes, it would be, we're only talking about this delegation for these first lease and licences, which would be a 5+5. So at the end of 10 years, we would then need to revisit that with council, and that would be with the delegation as well.
Okay, thank you. I'm happy with all that then.
Thanks. And again, I can assure council, I've seen some, there's stuff that council don't see in terms of the day-to-day operation, even with the commercial leases. The leasing team obviously are dealing with them, even at the moment, as Councillor Ree pointed out, the cost of living pressures, the fuel crisis, that sort of stuff. They'll be dealing with all of the tenants in our commercial buildings even to make sure that the lease suits them at the current time, because we understand that as a landlord, we obviously have, we hold ourselves probably to a higher account than the general commercial market in terms of looking after our tenants. So there's a lot of work that goes on with them. Councillor Migdale.
Thanks, Mayor. Not a lot to say other than to just let all officers know that, you know, thank you. Your great work here is recognised. I know this was a massive undertaking, a massive body of work, and our clubs and certainly we are better for it, and we appreciate it very much. Also to point out that if there are, and I've got to say, I'm extremely proud of the way, if I can say it, Stirling does business. We put our best foot forward. We always are of a mind, both at council and administration, to work with clubs to the highest and best outcomes for our residents, those who stand to benefit from our clubs, and from those that have a lease or licence with us. So I'm really proud of the level of transparency that we hold and the level that we hold ourselves to in how we work with our local tenants and tenancies. I also just want to make a point that with regards to a comment that was made earlier with regards to potential clubs that are struggling, I am particularly proud of the way that the city will embrace those that are experiencing challenges and make an incredible effort to ensure they are able to continue if that is their wish and that it is of benefit to our residents. So having a great relationship with our local clubs and temperature checking them throughout the year is also really important to make sure that everyone is successful. But if they are not, I've got to say I feel the city, and through these leases and licences and our new agreement, buffers those local clubs really nicely to absorb the shell shock of any major changes, whether they be economically in terms of cost of energy or what have you. I think we do an outstanding job of that. So I just want to say thank you for the great work.
Thanks, Councillor Migdale. There is no one opposed so far, really, so I'll go to Councillor Papard to close.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and I thank the Council for their contributions and the officers who have put in, as was said, a lot of effort into all of this process. The utilities payments, in my view, is a big win for those clubs. It is kind of a sweetener for them to show that we'll take care of the costs there and also the maintenance program, and that is also a streamlined process for the council as well internally. So I understand some of the concerns that Councillor Ree has particularly raised. I myself have been assured that if things do change within the clubs or the community, we need to be able to obviously maximise our city assets for the community. That's ultimately who we are supporting. And then the councillors and clubs would, of course, be well informed in due course with further discussions occurring. So we, you know, certainly, as I said, have to better utilise our club rooms. They won't be evicted with little or no notice because of Toy Library wants to move into a rugby club. So they'll be given due notice or consideration. So with that assurance, I think this is a good path forward. And I think, again, and I certainly ask the other councillors to support this. And I'll leave it at that, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thanks, councillors. I will now put that to the vote. Thank you, councillors. That is unanimous. I'll ask Councillor Corrado to come back in if someone wouldn't mind just popping up. Obviously. Thanks. What was the bell? I didn't know we had a bell. Councillor Corrado, that last item has been passed unanimously, but I will now ask you if you'd like to move the balance of reports, please.
So I would like to now move the balance of reports.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councillor Kristovich. Councillors, we can go to the vote on the balance of reports.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, and that is unanimous. Members of the gallery and those watching at home, the remainder of the Community and Resource Committee recommendations have now been adopted by exception resolution. We'll go on to 13, councillors. So 13.1, the City Support for RSL Sub-Branch and Naval Association Subsection Commemorative Services, page 115. Do I have a mover of a motion? Move Councillor Migdale. Seconded Councillor Olo. Is there anyone opposed? That's good. That would have been awkward because he's still watching. And we'll now go to the vote on that. Just got one to go. We've got Councillor Iron just to go, please. That is unanimous. Thank you, councillors. We'll now go to item 13.2, milestone event application for the Naval Association. The mover, we have Councillor Rea's move, Councillor Kristovich is second, and anyone opposed? If not, we'll go to the vote on that. Just a show of hands, councillors. Good night, Mr. Bowring. That is carried. That's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. We'll go to item 14, notice of motion for consideration. 14.1, notice of motion, Tony Kristovich.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So it's up on the board there. As everyone's had a look, so the notice of motion reads that a report be presented to the Community and Resources Committee meeting to be held on the 28th of April 2025, investigating the opportunity for rangers and community patrol officers to be authorised as general inspectors under the Animal Welfare Act 2002.
Thank you. So for a seconder, Councillor Kristovich. Sorry, Councillor Perkoff. I don't look anything like Councillor Perkoff. Is there anyone opposed? Just a question? Yes? Councillor Corrado, can I just get your mic off?
Sorry, I need a little bit more information about this. I don't really understand.
It'll be in the report, but essentially, if you think of some of the debate that's happened recently, take a seat, please, Councillor.
I'm happy to explain.
Take a seat, thanks. The motion is just for a report to come back on the opportunities in terms of giving the rangers extra powers. One of the issues that you would have seen recently, for example, with the fishing around lakes, whilst the local law aims to strengthen the head of power, the rangers still don't have any power to act when the real issue is probably the animal cruelty part. The RSPCA don't have the resources on the ground to deal with it. This is about investigating the rangers having the ability to act as those designated with those designated powers as if they were RSPCA rangers effectively. So it's just for a report to come back. So there's no one opposed, so I'll put that motion. That is unanimous, thank you. Item 14.2, proposed notice of motion from Councillor Teresa Olo, Chewett Hill.
Thank you. That a report be presented to a future council meeting providing an update on the implementation of the 2016 Chewett Hill Local Centre Urban Design Strategy and identify items that can be funded by the state government's recent election commitment. Do you want me to read the...
No, that's fine.
Okay.
That's good. And
Thank
is there
you.
a seconder for this one? Councillor Thornton is seconding. Is there anyone opposed? If not, I'll put that one to the vote. I've just got one to go. Councillor Olo. Got so excited moving a motion. There you go. That is unanimous. Councillors, can I just acknowledge Mr Heineken? Can I just acknowledge the team for that report? You can walk away. That's all right. Not many people walk away from here as I'm talking to them, except the members of the gallery sometimes. Yeah, I did want to just acknowledge you, Mr Heineken. That was an exceptional report, I thought. It was really the detail that was provided over such a short space. I thought it gave fantastic background in a short space, so thank you. Item 15, notice of motion for consideration at the next meeting. Have you got any surprises for me, councillors? No indication? Not right now. It'll come. Item 16, questions by members of which due notice has been given. I have nil. New business of an urgent nature, I have nil. 18, matters behind closed doors, I have nil. 19 is closure. So that brings to the end of proceedings. I'll say good night to everyone, including our viewers at home. Happy Easter, everyone, for next week. And we got a little break. So the next meeting is the 5th of May, 2026. Councillors, there's a couple of you who've got a box on your, if you've got a box in front of you, it's a little present. And that's all right. And I'll declare the meeting closed at 8:11 p.m.